I usually like to wing it. Usually
Yep, I'm okay with it.
makes it feel more natural. I mean, there's a lot of subjects of course, I've been thinking about, and I'll definitely talk about that with you. Um, let's get this. There we go. I think
It should be fun, especially how everybody's feeling so negative right now because we got no war today or no war next week. Yeah,
is it a node war?
no war.
Oh, no war. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I know a lot of people have been wanting these streams to be pretty banger streams, and I personally, I guess I've already set it in my mind that these particular Ashes streams are probably not going to start getting really like juicy and meaty until
mm,
probably the summer. Like I would say June, July. I think maybe we get the Rogue in May.
oh, well, so they said that they're gonna have the Rogue out prior to A2. That's what they wanted,
Right.
but we haven't seen anything.
No, I know. We haven't. And you
We've
you
seen Bard.
yeah, well, we've seen a little bit of Bard, but you want to know what's even crazier? Steven mentioned in Discord in May, or it was like in April of last year, that we were going to see the Rogue in May of last year. It's
Like,
sort of funny. Like, I mean, they've been really, and again, the melee combat is so finicky with people because people really want this very weighted combat approach. But how do you do weighted in a rogue that is very agile, very quick, fast, stabby stab, poke poke? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think people wanted the weight of the weapons and stuff to feel more like the heavy ones, like the axes, the two handers, and stuff like that, right?
No, for sure.
You we can't do with the daggers. Back in the combat showcase, how did they have the daggers? I like that.
Right. The way
Like you
like
can see the
the very like fast, swing and approach. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because I know for me, like it's one of those things where I think Intrepid is probably a little nervous as to how people are going to take the rogue melee style of combat. And of course, I have nothing to back this up on, but I think if Steven was kind of confident last year to show the rogue, but the developers weren't, I think it was for a good reason. I think also there's probably bits of animations, there's like other stuff they probably want to flesh out as well. But ultimately, I think with the reception of the fighter, which being very overwhelmingly positive, like I went into the forums. I don't know about you if you went into the Reddit forums or just the
Mhm.
Ashes forums, very positive. I didn't really find quite a lot of people like completely bashing on the fighter showcase or the abilities or anything. I think most people were talking about VFX for the most part, like the lighting, the flashy flashes were just
Yeah.
too much. Which that was kind of my sentiments for a couple of the abilities, but overall, I think it was very well received. I mean, what did you think about the fighter showcase overall, like melee wise?
I enjoyed the fighter showcase. But while I don't normally play the warrior type class
Okay.
any of most. Um, I like the route that they're going with the animations.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe like the rupture ability, they can tone down the blood splatter just a little bit.
Oh
It seemed
yeah.
just a little absurd, but
It was too for me. Like I was like, "Ugh, what are they doing?" Like,
like I get having like the animation for when they're moving and stuff, so people can
right.
see it. But that just kind of like it looked like they took a sphere and just every time you move, this whole sphere fills up with blood.
Oh, I know. And it's like it's constant, I feel like it would be better to see like a blood trail, right? So like
Mhm.
you see the first initial blood splatter and then as the person moves, you see like blood footprints on the floor or something like that, right? And
So
then
that would be cool.
maybe like at the very end there's like a final splatter. So that way the effect is done, right?
Mhm.
Like that to me would be kind of cool. But the continuous like what is this like? I don't know if you've seen the movie Dracula Dead and Loving It. Whenever he hit the vampire and all this blood just spurred out, like what I mean, and it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming out. Like it kind of reminded me of that scene from Dracula Dead and Loving It. But I guess before we start talking too much about Ashes, First, how do you say your name? I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly, because names are so, like, they're my kryptonite. I can't say
No, you're
names
good.
for crap.
I have yet to find somebody that can say it right the
Okay,
first time.
I'm glad I asked you first. Then, how do you say your name?
So, career Ian. So Kreirian.
Kreirian.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, I nailed it first try. Okay, so Kreirian, like, how did you even get into this Ashes space? Like, what even, honestly, like, I know as a gamer, being in the Ashes space is actually quite good, because most people want an MMO. They see Ashes of Creation, are like, oh my god, this is actually a pretty, like, fleshed out, like, MMO comparatively to all these other projects. But honestly, what I think my fascination is, what makes someone become a content creator for a game that hasn't existed? Because that takes an extraordinary level of, like, passion and, like,
Mhm.
fervor. So just, can you explain to me, like, why you decided to do this?
Yeah. So, I started off with, like, I saw Ashes doing the Kickstarter and stuff, like when they first
Oh,
started launching and stuff.
2017.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I was interested in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never really like actually got into it
Right.
until last November.
Okay.
Okay. Um, like I completely missed Alpha One, but I've always kept tabs with it since 2017.
Okay.
Um, then I was playing World of Warcraft again, and my family actually convinced me to start streaming because I was top 100 in the world for the class that I was playing on the healer. So the Preservation Evoker.
Dang. Okay. Okay.
So they so I started streaming that, like I started streaming like the mythics, the heroics and stuff, helping folks out. Then after the Ranger showcase, like watching that kind of like had me full send straight into like doing stuff for Ashes. So like, and during WoW and stuff, all I was doing was talking about like Ashes of Creation, talking to folks about it while just playing, and then
Right.
I kind of just slowly transferred over from there.
Okay. Well, welcome aboard. I mean, there's not a lot of us content creators for a game that quite literally doesn't exist. So anytime I see that there's, like, new people out there, it honestly just lets me know that we're getting close. I mean, I think the
Yeah.
hype and anticipation is just getting closer and closer. And most, when you talk to other action creators, they'll be like, oh, this is kind of a dead period. And I think in some ways it is, but in other ways it's really not. I think, for us people who consume Ashes content in a very uh glutton basis, where it's like every day, every minute, if you're having a conversation about Ashes, that is not the norm. Okay. That's
You saw me in the Discord. And I think it was Nice that
oh
pinged
yeah.
me and asked to watch the videos for him, give him a
Oh yeah.
TLDR.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and I think for the most part, right, there's going to be this sort of floodgate that's going to open. And when that floodgate opens, it's going to be all hands on deck. I mean, you're going,
Mhm.
Q Midnight Magic. What is going on? We just got raided by Q. Oh, what is going
Thank
on,
you.
guys? We're literally in our pre-show. We're talking about becoming an Ashes of Creation content creator, which why anyone would want to do at this point. But I mean, I think the other cool thing about it is like, I've gotten to meet so many really cool people being in the space. Q, I've gotten
Yeah.
to meet Jamie, I've gotten to meet Nice, I've gotten to meet
Mhm.
all the boys from Theory Forge, from Lore Forge, Zillin, like everybody, like, has been pretty awesome to work with and to, like, partner with and to, like, my boy Rive. Like, I mean, I try to talk to everybody as much as I can, because I've always just been that kind of person that I like, collaborating. I like
Mhm.
just getting perspective. And I think that's the whole reason why I started the 1v1, is because I don't like, having all of the people on a podcast. I like it to be very intimate, just me and someone else, because I feel like you can have some really deep and meaningful conversations that way. And in some ways, like, whenever you see a podcast when there's like three other people and you have a guest on, it's like sometimes that can be very intimidating for the guest when there's like three people like all around you and stuff. So, I find it to be a little bit more, just chill. Hey, it's just me and you. We're just talking. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that, man. And Kyria, welcome to the AOC Content Creator Club. Very small club for now, but it'll grow. I can guarantee you.
It'll definitely grow. Yeah.
It'll definitely grow. You'll see.
I was, well, it's fine. So I would say during, I think it was the Content Creator Summit. I don't know if you were part of that one, the one that Chibi and Vertex
Oh yeah, I was there.
hosted.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. So you guys were doing that.
Hmm.
Okay. I was streaming World of Warcraft under the AOC tab.
Oh
And
wow, okay.
when y'all finished, Annie and Jamie came over and I talked to them. I was supposed to get off, but then I talked to them for like an hour and a half straight.
Wow,
And they pulled me in to all of you guys.
that's
And then
awesome.
from there, everyone's been extremely welcoming. It's actually been just a great content creator community.
Yeah, I mean, and again,
Uh,
you know, when I was in the WoW circles back in the day in like 2012 when I was making WoW content, the circles were not like that back then. It was very much like a dog eat dog kind of world where it's like, I don't want to collab with you. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm worried about my channel. I do what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think it's
mhm.
because the game isn't out, and honestly, I feel like it's a very multiplicative kind of reason, because this is a game that is literally all about community. You know, like you think of every system in Ashes like requiring, you know, multiple people, groups, guilds, alliances, you know, like all these different things, right? So there's already that group mentality that I'm not here to play a solo game. And I think honestly, the other thing too, there is a level of maturity as well, because a lot of the content creators are like over 30, right?
Yep.
You know, so you're not like getting these zillennials or whatever, these Generation Zers or whatever they're called, and it being all crazy. Yeah. You know, like my boy Q, he's probably a vanilla. He's young. He's like 19 years old. It's crazy, you
He's
know?
29.
Yeah. Who, Q?
Yeah.
Dude, he is 13. What are you talking about? Like,
What do you think I am? What do you think I am?
okay,
If
okay.
he's 13.
Dude, Q, let me tell you, dude. When he told me his age, I did not believe him. Because I honestly thought he was way younger. I'm like, there's no way you're like gonna be 30. Like, what? I was like, it looks like you just got out of high school. What are you talking about? Like, Jesus. So if I had to guess your age, Kreirian, I'm so bad at this. Like, don't be mad at me. I'm so bad at this. Like, what, 23? 24?
I am 23 and a week
Oh
and a
my
half.
God, I got it right.
You got
Yeah.
it right.
Dang. Okay.
Week
I
and a
got it.
half.
Wow. Well, congratulations, man. Well, happy early birthday.
Fair or not, stop talking about yourself.
All right. Well, I think we're kind of prepped. We're ready to go. Do you want to get started on this 1v1?
Sure, let's go.
All right, let's do this, guys. Guys, we're about to get started on the official 1v1 YouTube episode. So let's tune in, let's get ready, let's get zoned in, and let's get it going. All right. So starting in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I am your host, Vlhadus, and today I have a very special guest. He is brand new to the AOC Content Creator Club. He is our boy Kreirian. What is going on, my dude?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, thank you for being on. It's sort of like, man, I was trying to think, when was the last time I actually had like a brand new guest? I think honestly, the last time I had a brand new guest was like when I first introduced or first got Burns, you know, which now Ash's relation, and now he's skyrocketing, man. He's like a whole other content creator now. It's like he outgrew his britches really quick. Basically.
I was surprised how fast he blew up, but honestly, his stuff is great.
His stuff speaks for himself. And I told him that. I said, dude, your content is going to be it's so good. Just work on your titles and thumbnails and you'll pop off. And guess what? He worked on his titles and thumbnails and he popped off. Like, I'm telling you, because his content was so good. The way he presented it, his editing style, it's very entertaining to watch and very informative. Like, I mean, what more do you want from a content creator, you know?
So what content creator goes around talking about physics and like DNA ancestry?
Oh, dude, his animal husbandry video is still by far one of my favorite videos. Like, the way he broke down all of the super nerdy, like, and I can't even remember the name because it's like a term you've never hear in normal conversation, but it's like the breeding term. And I'm sure
you're talking about the box.
Yes, that box or whatever. Yeah. Because of course the animal husbandry system is being done by oh my God, I know his name. He's a developer at Intrepid. Trad? No, not Trad. Dr. Bucky. Bucky is the guy that's like literally created the outline or like the whole thing of animal husbandry. And of course, like with There you go. Rockta, my boy.
Mendelian. Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much. Rockta freaking saved the day. Mendelian genetics. That term and the way he broke it down for a dumb person like me, and I am able to understand, like I'm telling you, Burns is just, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. But I guess, like, you know, to start off, right, like, what, I always ask this to everybody because I've just met you and everything like that. Like, what do you personally value in an MMORPG? Like, what is it about an MMO that has to, like, that MMO has to do in order for you to be like zoned in, connected, and playing?
I have two things.
Okay.
Combat, like gameplay combat, has to be good, and there has to be a community behind it.
Okay.
So, like combat stuff. Okay, I didn't really enjoy like BDO, for example.
Okay.
It's like I don't really
Same.
enjoy BDO's combat.
I did not enjoy it either.
But I enjoy like ESO. I enjoyed ESO's combat.
Okay.
World of Warcraft. I've played that since I was 3 years old.
Basically.
No, World of Warcraft came out in 2004, and I've literally played WoW since 2004.
Wow.
I grew up on that game.
That's awesome.
And then for like the different classes and everything like that, for me to play a game, I have to find something that I enjoy playing. I'm not an altaholic. Like I will stick to my one character. I
Wow.
may do a second one if even that.
Wow. So it's all about the like moment to moment combat decisions. Now, when you said combat, like there's a lot you can tell from that, right? So there's the especially with World of Warcraft, that's my bread and butter. That's what I know most as far as the MMO goes. And there's a lot of moment to moment decision making that you have to do, especially as a healer, right? And because you mained a healer, I have a lot of questions for you regarding healing, especially in Ashes of Creation.
I don't like how the cleric looks.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Okay. We got one thing in common. No, I actually like the way the cleric looks, but my fear is something else entirely. But before I get into that subject, because there's a lot of moment to moment decision making that you have to make as a healer, and just as a melee player, you have your rotation, right? And sometimes there's things that happen that go outside of your rotation where you got to pop a cooldown early because the boss you need to phase it soon. A lot of really critical moments you need to do stuff like that. Now, when it comes to the community side, this is where I felt like WoW used to do a good job with community with its guilds and its raiding, right? Because for me, I was a raider. I've been a raider since like Wrath of the Lich King. My first raid ever was TOC, which was the worst raid ever probably invented. Yeah, it was literally the worst. I started raiding at the worst possible time during Wrath.
Yeah, Trials of Crusader.
Trials of Crusader. Okay. Yes, yeah, Trials of Crusader. So basically, I got indoctrinated by raiding and by that community of raiders, right? And finding guilds who raided and stuff like that. And back then, the raiding guilds and that whole scene was huge. And there was a really immense community when it came to that. But I think as WoW progressed, there was also this progression too of like social media and then also just convenience, like overall convenience in just MMOs in general, which WoW took a lot of conveniences and started making the game more convenient. And then it started to get to the point where you kind of don't even need a guild anymore. Like you can still raid without being a guild, and you can still do everything you need to without needing people. And so that's where I think WoW lost me. Because now the thing that I value, one of my main pillars, which was community, is gone because I don't need them anymore. I can just use the pre-made group finder and just go up with strangers and then do my raid bosses and then be done for the week. And that's it, So it feels like all of these NPCs just kind of running amok, doing whatever they want. And then I'm just there like not really doing anything myself, right? So it kind of makes that whole reason of why you're there hollow, right? Because usually you're there because you want people to like recognize you and to feel like the value of what you're doing on your character, whether it's tanking, DPSing, or healing. And whenever you can't see that value, then you kind of realize, well, where is the value like of me playing this game? And that for me, that's what I would kind of to find out, is why I think WoW almost pushed me out, because I felt like I just kind of outgrew the game. Like it almost felt like, especially during Shadowlands, going into Dragonflight, that I felt like I was like a 23-year-old still trying to be in high school. You know what I mean? It's weird. You know what I mean? It's like I outgrew this game. Why am I here still? And of course, finding Ashes of Creation, it just was a whole, the community is so vibrant here. There's just a lot of people that are willing to talk about all the things about MMOs that I've been wanting to talk about in WoW for freaking ever, So because you're a healer, let's start off on this subject. So, again, and I think my chat already knows probably where I'm going to go with this, but from your perspective, do you feel like, as a preservation evoker in World of Warcraft, or maybe like other healers you've played from other MMOs, do you have confidence that the cleric could actually transform into a play style you personally like as a healer?
So I like incredibly like mobile healers.
Okay.
Like the whole thing with the preservation evoker is that you have the ability to like cast while moving. You can go from one side of an arena to the other in less than a second.
Wow.
Just through like certain ability combos and stuff. But the only thing that the cleric has going for it, like mobility wise, that we've seen, is the dash to the friendly target.
Right.
So with just that one ability, I don't think it's something that I personally would play. The healing on it seems very similar to like a holy priest from WoW.
Exactly.
You're
very traditional
still,
holy priest. Wow.
Yep. So you're standing still. You're casting your big heals. You're seeing big numbers. You're healing a lot, but you're not like moving around. You're not dodging things really well. You're not being able to like attack very well while also doing this and that, etc. You're just there.
Right. Well, Kreirian, if you don't like the cleric, then why can't you just play another healer in Ashes? Oh, wait a minute. You can't.
There's no other healer.
There's no other healer. And that's been my biggest problem with Ashes. Because and I have a lot of friends that are like main tanks, like that's all they do is tank in WoW, or they heal in WoW, or just in MMORPGs, that's what they're known for doing. There's a lot of people that are known for doing DPS, like, oh, I do any kind of a range physical, like a ranger, a hunter, whatever the case is, or I'm like the melee person. You put me with like a fighter, a rogue, like I'll play that, I'll do really good. But then you have certain people that just want to heal or want to tank, and then I have to tell them, well, this is it. Like
you have tank, you have cleric.
You have a very simple decision to make: heal or don't heal. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest problem with the 64 class system, in my opinion, is the fact that, like, as to you, who is a main healer in a lot of other MMOs, you probably won't heal in Ashes of Creation. If, I'll put the caveat, if there's not certain things that you can do that make that class more mobile. Right.
Then it's the only thing. That's what I'm like hoping the augment system is.
Right.
Because we've already seen, like Steven said it himself. Okay, if you're a ranger and you do cleric as your secondary augment, it's only going to give you self-sustain. There's no group healing facets to that at all.
Right.
So if you want to heal somebody else, you have to play cleric.
Right.
Or maybe bard.
Right. Which
but I'm not being a musician. I'm good. Thanks.
Well, I don't know if the bard is going to be able to heal the way like a cleric would. But one of my friends asked me a question, and I think, she made a really good point, is the Trinity going to be needed in a game like Ashes of Creation? Like, if we think in WoW terms, right, where you have 3 DPS, 1 tank, and 1 healer, and if you don't have like a tank, then that threat's going to go to someone else. And if they don't have the defense to take those hits, they're going to die pretty instantly or pretty quickly. But what if tanking or taking hits in Ashes wasn't the way we thought it was, and like from WoW's perspective, right? Like, what if a rogue could actually tank, in Ashes? Maybe not efficiently, but in a way that is still like, it'll be rough but doable. Like, and if that's the case, then you could probably have people that have augments to heal but aren't really healers. Thinking of like a retribution paladin. Retribution paladins in WoW aren't healers, but that they have the capability to heal, like off heal. They can off heal themselves, they can off heal others, but at a great cost, because since they're not a healer, their healing spells have a super high mana cost, and some of them have super high cooldowns. So I don't know. I've always been very curious as to like what Intrepid's really going to do, because every single time, and I've had 2 tank friends of mine that are main tanks, looked at that tank showcase from a year ago and they're like, no, thank you. Like, I don't, that's not the kind of tank I like to play with. And so it's like, and usually like in MMORPGs, tanks and healers are hard to come by. And you have a game like WoW where there's like 6 to 7 different tanks, 6 to 7 different healers. So you have plenty of variety, like a lot of variety to choose from if you're a main healer or a main tank. You have one option in Ashes, and then you can't even change anything until level 25. So you don't know until 25 levels in if it's going to augment in a way that you personally like. This has been my entire like problem with this system, because if you hit level 25, Kreirian, and none of the augments do the thing that you wanted it to do, you feel like you just wasted your time playing that entire time. Like I feel like there's just going to be so many quit moments when it comes to that one specific outstance, like when it comes to tanks and healers. And then we're going to be in a world of Ashes where everybody wants a DPS, but no one wants to tank and no one wants to heal, because there isn't enough variety. There isn't enough different varieties of ways to tank, and there isn't enough different varieties of how you can heal. Because I know that there are people that are healers that love to hot heal, right? Just to put hots on everybody, right? Think of like a resto druid, or you think of someone who wants to do like a Mistweaver style, where you're like melee DPSing plus like off healing, and you're like all the stuff you're doing is creating heals off of your melee damage. Like there's just so many variants in WoW where you can just take all these different variants of healers, but then you expect one base class to augment that far. Like, again, it has to do so much heavy lifting. So like for you, how would you want the augment system? Like what would you want from the augment system as a healer?
So with my style, it's Preservation Evoker is like a ranged Mistweaver. Just think of it like that. Okay. So instead of being up front, I'm a mid-range caster. Okay. I'm okay with melee healing. That's what I do in like ESO. I play a Necromancer healer in PvP. So I'm sword and shield up front in your face. I'm okay with that.
Right.
So augment wise, I'm looking towards like Rogue Ranger for mobility reasons.
Right.
Maybe Mage, because Mage, we have the 4 trees and one of them is teleportation.
Oh, yes.
So I'm assuming at least that you're going to get some sort of blink mobility from there as well. But if it's just like you choose Mage augment, you choose teleportation, and the only augment you get for teleportation for mobility wise is for that dash heal, then I'm probably not going to play it, because I need more than just one.
Right. And again, I think there's going to be not a lot of utility from especially like mobility utility. I think as a cleric, you're probably going to get ways to, like, if other people are like speed impeded or like they're slowed, like a cleric may have a thing to like remove that slow. But I don't know if there's going to be a lot of different ways as to how they're going to be able to speed themselves up or do stuff differently. And again, with their kit, and this is the thing that, I've always wanted to ask, like Intrepid, is I think with the tank and healer specifically, you're going to have to make a bigger like augment system and a bigger ability tree, because you just need to provide more like different ways on how to do tanking, on how to do healing, to be able to attract the people that love to do those certain things. But even at a base, in a base way, right? Your first, I would say like 20 abilities potentially. And this is also too like an unknown factor is, are we going to get an ability talent point every single time we level. So from like level 1 to like level 25, what is the array of abilities that we have access to, right? Like if I want to be a throughput healer, how many throughput heals do I have access to from this pool that I can actually talent my point in? Or if I want to be a melee, hot healer, like how many hots could I get from this pool? Because we all know that it's not gonna be like WoW where as soon as you ding, you're just gonna get an ability thrown into your bar. Like, oh, now you're level 7, here's this ability. Like you're gonna choose what abilities you want in your kit from this ability tree.
Like first, like the old school WoW
Right.
talent calculator. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be quite different. And I think they just need to be able to put more tools in the tank and the cleric tool belt than they would the rogue, than they would the ranger. Because like I said, there's just, if you want to DPS in Ashes of Creation, right? Well, you have a physical ranged, you have a magical ranged, you have a melee physical that's like slow and methodical with like the fighter potentially with like dual-handed swords. You have a melee that is like fast swinging, very rapid, shadowy with the rogue. Like you have completely different classes that could fit your play style depending on your base class. You just don't have that with the tank, and you don't have that with the cleric. And I think it's asking, I mean, do you think it's asking like a little bit much to level to 25 before you can even experience a different way to tank or a different way to heal?
I personally, I think it's kind of ridiculous
Okay.
because I've played all the specs. Like I've tanked, I've healed, I've DPS
Mm-hmm.
in almost every game because I do like to at least try everything to see what
Right.
I like.
Right.
And with the augment system has to change them to enough to where it will feel like playing another class.
Right.
And if you don't get to be able to play a completely different way, then when we're already having a tank and healer problem in most MMOs, we're not going to see any of those. They're going to be a dime a dozen, and everyone's going to be sitting outside of a dungeon waiting for a healer or tank to show up, and they're going to
Yes.
get swarmed.
And I really think the only way to prevent this kind of need for a tank and healer is to make the Trinity not as important in Ashes of Creation as to like other games that like you need a tank for a dungeon or you need a tank for a raid. Like, because if there's not going to be a lot of people willing to just play a singular base class, and maybe they you will, but I think if there isn't a lot of people where on your server there's like only a handful of tanks or a handful of healers, that's already a big like red flag in that case. So would you, as the developer, then make your raids, your dungeons, like you basically needing for you to have one of each in your group? Because if that's the case, then I feel like I don't know if that's going to happen, man. Like, and again, like I've talked to so many people about this subject, like passionately, you know what I mean? And I've talked to people that that's all they want to do, and they are still like on the fence. Like a lot of my healer friends, they like the cleric, but they're like, yeah, but like as you said, it's just the holy priest in WoW. Like that's one thing, And again, how many other healers are there in WoW? There's like 6 others, completely different in scope.
Mm-hmm.
Can the augment system truly change the cleric that drastically? I don't know. And every time that I've always asked, people always say, oh, well, the augment system is really going to be more of a change of flavor. It's not really going to transform your class into like this, crazy way. But yet, for the tank and the cleric, we need them to change in a crazy way. Like we need them, like there's a lot of a lot of tanks that want to be not just a sword and board tank. They're like, oh, that's boring. I want to wield like a two-handed sword and be like a health siphoning tank. That's what I want to be. Or I want to be a dodge tank. I want to just dodge everything and not take a single hit. You know what I mean? Like, can the tank have that or be capable of that in Ashes of Creation? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's always the thing that I've always wondered about, but well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see for Alpha 2.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. And honestly, I think it's probably not going to happen, especially with like the cleric, because it's already been confirmed that like if you choose cleric as your sub augment, then it's always going to be self heals. Like Steven said that directly. But at least like if you play a fighter, right, and you sub into tank, you should be able to at least fill that role as like a pseudo off tank or something.
Right.
That's just my opinion, right? Um, maybe like not in the case for like the rogue or something like that. Like you might get some more like defensive type abilities or something, or like maybe some more defenses, but maybe not like a taunt or anything like that.
Right.
But I'm okay with a Holy Trinity, but the Holy Trinity you still need more options within each section.
Right.
Because like DPS, you have your fighter, you have the mage, you have the rogue, you got the ranger, right? Then tank is one tank, healer is one healer,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have this fourth little oddball group for Bard and Summoner.
Right.
So because of Bard and Summoner, we don't even have the Trinity anymore.
Right. It's like this.
We got a diamond going on here.
We have like a square. Yeah, like I think it's gonna be very different. I mean, I think the reasoning why I think I've always worried about this is because there hasn't been any evidence or anything that Intrepid has stated that alleviates any of my concerns. Like I feel like until we get into the Alpha 2, until we truly see like how deep these augments are going to go, how much classes are truly going to change, you know, it's going to be, it is what it is until we get to that point kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess moving on to another subject. So one thing about Ashes of Creation that is basically doing, I think, quite drastically, you know, I wouldn't say drastically, but I would say hopefully for the better is professions. Professions in a lot of MMOs, you know, especially if you played World of Warcraft, they updated the professions finally in Dragonflight. But before that, it was pretty pitiful for a long time. So for you, have you done professions in MMOs? For me, I wasn't really a professions guy. However, in Ashes, I'm really interested in doing professions.
So the only MMO that I've ever actually done professions in is ESO.
Okay.
Because you get a whole bunch of passives and stuff by going through and doing that, and that's also how you upgrade your gear that's sold out to you. Like you have to do professions if you want to play at a high level.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
In WoW, the only one I ever done was herbalism and alchemy.
Okay.
Because as a healer, I'm chugging mana pots left and right, so I make them myself.
Yeah, I know, not to worry about that, right? Just do it yourself.
Yeah, but so I've never really been a profession person other than just getting what I need to get by.
Okay.
Ashes, I like how they're doing the whole novice to grandmaster system.
Right.
I'm probably still going to focus on just herbalism and alchemy though, just because
making
I will
your
use
own shit
potions on cooldown.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
I was like, I'm going to run out of them, and I need to be able to make them.
Yeah, I know. For me, like I'm really interested in just the economy side of professions, but also just the group side of it. Like when you play New World, or even like people are playing PAX Day right now, you just see these groups of people all like farming together and doing things together regarding like making stuff and, you know, getting all this stuff prepared. And I just find that to be so much fun. The fact that you're out in this world and you're just like trying to like form these parties to like, hey, we're going to go and mine. That's all we're going to go do. And hey, we're going to chop down trees and we're going to do this. But then in Ashes, it's not just the fact that you're going to go and gather these things. It's the fact that so are other people, and that's going to create conflict. Like that to me is, I think, probably one of the biggest draws for me is that all of these things are going to matter so much that you're going to probably want to fight other people to get that commodity first. And in other MMOs where it's just like a PvE fest, like you don't have that, because it's like, oh, that person got that node, well, I guess I'll move on and look for another one, you know, and that's the extent of what it is. But also in Ashes, there's a lot of, you know, people that don't want the whole PvP side of things. I'm just curious, like you've been indoctrinated in Ashes. How do you feel about the whole like PvP side of it?
I'm a huge PvP fan, so like I enjoy the whole open world PvP concept.
Awesome.
The only thing I think that should change maybe is putting a safe zone inside towns themselves.
Like in the nodes?
In the nodes, like in the node town itself.
Right.
Yes. Because I was having this conversation with Paramount, I think last night.
Okay.
But like I've played a rogue in WoW. I played a Nightblade in ESO. I know backstab ganking and stuff is all fun and games, but corruption system wise, if you and one other person see this person known being a grandmaster crafter, he goes over to his bank, pulls something out, and starts running over to the crafting area. You you bet your ass I'm gonna turn around and kill that dude in the middle of town. So my buddy right next to me here can loot whatever
Oh yeah,
rare
100%.
material he has on him.
100%.
Like there's nothing. I'll take the corruption hit for whatever rare material is sitting in the middle of town.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think honestly too, like there's going to be stuff that the Alpha 2 is going to flesh out regarding PvP. I think, for me, there was one thing that I hope happens, and that's the whole body blocking thing. I think that shouldn't exist inside the node towns. Like if you're inside a village, I think you should just be able to go through people and be able to like get to stuff. And during the Alpha 1, that was a huge issue. People can just body block doorways and NPCs and whatever the case. So I hope that they at least do that. But ultimately, I think with the profession system, like, our boy Corey, Kreirian Slurp, who's usually in chat sometimes, like I know he and the rest of his team have been working very passionately to create really in-depth professions for us. And that's regarding, of course, the gathering, the processing, or the gathering, processing, crafting side. And so, like, I know for me, the one thing I really, really want to do is I want to be probably more so a gatherer, because I want to be able to experience like more of the PvP side. I don't know if I can experience the PvP side if I'm a processor or if I'm a crafter, you know what I mean? But if I'm going out and picking up stuff, chances are I'm going to run into stuff. And I think that would actually be really interesting to like run into, whether like chopping trees down, whether I'm mining stuff or whatever. That's probably going to be my two main professions, is mining and lumberjacking, to be honest.
I find it, at least professional-wise, I find it interesting that alchemy is considered a processing tree rather than actually crafting.
Wait, say that again?
Alchemy is processing.
Oh, yes.
Crafting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Same thing with cooking. Cooking is not, cooking is a processing, not an actual craft.
It looks like it's one of the, like cooking, herbal, alchemy seem to be like the two unique ones in that where they don't have something further.
Right. And
like alchemy, you're going to be making your end game potions, products, and stuff through there. And you may make a resource or something like that for like the magical engineering tree.
It'll be interesting. Like I think I'm just really curious to see, like, especially when it comes to like, BOE or like not even soulbound items, but the fact that every craftable gear piece is going to be tradable. The fact that you can wear something and then if you get a better thing, you can give that old thing to like someone else, or you can sell it on the auction house. I think that's going to be really, really, really cool, because I guess coming from World of Warcraft where everything is soulbound, it's going to be very interesting to like gear out your alts, help out your guildies. If you're with somebody and they're like, hey, they just leveled up and you have some old piece of gear that's in your bank, you can just give it to them. You know what I mean? Like, I find that to just be really awesome. And it creates this really cool community, especially if you're already in a guild with like established people and stuff like that. I think in certain ways, certain people are going to be so taken care of by their guild. And this kind of goes into like a kind of like a next topic for us, is the fact that like how, are you in a guild already for Ashes, or are you still looking for a guild?
I am currently part of NVS right now.
Okay.
I play with them through like Throne and Liberty.
Okay.
So I'm still kind of like testing the waters and stuff. I haven't really like fully decided
for sure
yet.
So you're kind of still in trial mode.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. So, and that's the thing. And this is what I've been, if you've been watching my 1v1 for any length of time, I always tell people, play with people now. Because if you play with people now, you can get the feel for your guild. You can get the feel for how people are, how they operate. Because if you're liking the way they're operating, the way they're talking, the way they're delegating and all that other stuff, then hey, when Ashes comes around, you'll be set. You'll be good, because you already know how they operate. You already know how they react, how they do things. But if you are not playing with the guild now, you're not going to know how they operate. So when you go into Ashes and shit actually matters, you're going to be looking for a guild. You know what I mean? And I think it's going to be, not saying a hard thing, But I think it's going to be a very different process to be in a guild when Ashes is actually out, because then they're like, oh, well, what guild did you come from? Oh, like, are you just a spy? Are you know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be all
Yeah.
these questions. It's gonna be like, you're gonna be interrogated, to hell and back. So I think, that's why I always tell people, find out now, be in different communities, hell, be in different guild discords, jump in there, see, talk to people. You know what I mean? That's basically what I always tell people.
I was
But
gonna say, if you ever look at any of the servers I'm in like 4 or 5, 6 different Discord guild
oh, dude,
servers for Ashes right now. I'm
yeah,
all
like,
over the place.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, hey, by all means, man. Like, I mean, there's plenty of really good people out there looking for good people. I mean, there's good guilds, there's good guild leaders, there's good officers out there. But again, everybody has different personality traits, right? Like, there could be certain personalities that you don't jive with in one guild, but you go to another guild and it's like, man, it's like I click with everybody here. You know what I mean? And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like, you need to play a game where you're surrounded by a bunch of buddies the way you would on a Thursday night playing poker and just having a good old time. Because it's not about the cards at the end of the day. It's about the conversations. It's about the laughs, the jokes, like, the men shit that happens.
Everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about that stuff. It's so like, because I feel like whenever you're playing a game with no one, like, you basically relying sheerly on the game to entertain you. But when you're playing a really good game with really awesome people as well, it elevates that experience to this nth degree that just makes it memorable. Like, and that's why I think WoW to me just has such a soft spot for me, because WoW back then was such a great game, but simultaneously I was surrounded by awesome people, which just elevated that experience to this unbelievable level. So the one thing I did want to ask you, because I know you said you were very competitive, you were said top 100, right? Preservation evokers.
Yes, for my class, I was top 100.
Okay, and are you specifically talking rating in World of Warcraft?
Yes. So if you look, it's not there anymore. But
yeah.
At the beginning of season 3,
okay,
if you take a look there, going through normal, heroic, and mythic, my character was in the top 100 until I started streaming.
Wow. So how do you feel that Ashes of Creation potentially won't have raids? Like, I mean, coming from WoW, where it's all these instance raiding, scene where you go in, you set your days, Tuesdays, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. You go and raid for a couple of hours. Like, do you feel like you're going to miss that when it comes to Ashes of Creation? Because I don't know if that's going to exist.
I may miss it a little, but I'm an avid PvP player. Like, I enjoy it. So there's always, at least for me personally, there's something in Ashes for me to do at any point in time.
Awesome.
So I personally, that's not going to be a problem for me, but for a lot of people who like play WoW for the PvE aspect,
oh yeah,
ESO for the PvE aspect, it's not going to really be a game for them, in my opinion.
Well,
or
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So none of the dungeons are instance. None of the raids are instance. They open up at random. They can open up at random times. Events and stuff all happen randomly. World bosses, yeah, you might be able to find like their spawn table or something, but it's not going to be like the devs can't change it or anything like they're planning to, anyways.
Right.
You're going to be online. You're going to be talking to your guild or something like that, and then out of nowhere, there's going to be this raid opens up, and so you gather your group of your guildies together that are online, and you go. So community is going to be the biggest part, and if you don't like having to be part of a guild or part of a community, Ashes is definitely not going to be for you, because it's not going to be a game you can solo unless you're just doing just crafting.
Right. And I've had to tell a lot of my friends that are interested in Ashes that are just PvE Andes, because for me, I was a PvE Andy. Excuse me. But I did arena a lot, especially in Wrath, Kata, and Mists. I was a hardcore arena person. I was also a hardcore arena person in Burning Crusade. So PvP is nothing. I'm not new to PvP. But then I just, because I think WoW's PvP, it just got annoying for me. And again, like the PvP community right now is at an all-time low in WoW. It's just bad.
Yep.
So in Ashes, like I'm down with the PvP stuff, and I'm down only because if you're that worried about PvP, then just group with people. Like, you know what I mean? If you're that worried, then just be around friends. There's always safety in numbers, you know, but I understand that there's people that always, that, you know, I don't want to invite people to my group. I just want to play by myself. And it's just like you said, I don't know if you're going to like Ashes then, because if you're by yourself, you are a really, really awesome target, you know, and especially if there's other groups, you know, 3s, 4s, and 5s, and you just see this lonely person by themselves and you don't recognize their guild tag. I'm sorry, but you might die. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're probably gonna die. And then
if I don't know who you are, if I don't know what your guild is, you're now officially labeled as a target.
yeah, no, exactly. You know what I mean? But just imagine if like you are wanted to be a solo player, but then also your guild is making all this drama on your server. You're even more of a target because it's like, you know, like your guild's pissing off everybody on the server. You know what I mean? Like all the guild leaders like had this meeting where it's like, hey, we're specifically targeting this guild on our server. Anytime you steal anybody on that guild, kill on sight. Like doesn't matter who they are. Like, and you're going to have that. Like there's going to be servers. There's going to be so much drama. And I think that's the thing for me of like, I had to turn off my brain when it comes to raiding, because honestly, I raided for almost 17 years. Like I'm good with not raiding it again. That's just me. Like I'm fine. Like I did it for a long ass time. I had my time in the sun. I'm good to move on to whole new horizons, a whole new experience, especially in Ashes. But as a content creator, I am just so ready for the juicy drama that's going to occur. and not just from my server, but from all of the other content creator servers. Like I am just, and the fact that you can just go and make a tune like on another server and just kind of go in and see what's going on. Like it's going to be some of the best. Like if you've ever watched some of the drama that has ever occurred when Among Us was coming out.
It's already happening.
Oh, I know it's already happening.
Started.
Oh yeah, especially in the Discords. Like, oh my god, in the AOC Discords, dude. There's always something stirring. Always.
Throne and Liberty already has guilds breaking up.
Are you wait? Ashes of Creation guilds are breaking up because of Throne and Liberty.
Okay. So
breaking news. Holy crap.
Envious went into Throne and Liberty.
Okay.
And I think it was EPH.
Ethereum,
yeah.
Okay.
So they're already butting heads and everything, right?
Okay.
So Ethereum is massive. Like they're huge.
Oh yeah, huge.
Even compared to like Envious is super small compared to them.
Right.
So we go in, we try and contest something in the PvP, and we fail. Leadership of Envious got into a fight with each other, and people that have been there for over 5 years have now split and joined EPH.
Holy crap. So there was a
leadership officers, I don't whose Heal Station is, like he left. He's gone.
Oh shit, really? Oh my god.
He's gone.
I know Heal Station. Yes.
Yeah. It was all over one fight. And then after this one fight, Envious came in and started pretty much winning almost every fight. So they left because they lost the first fight.
Okay, so Heal Station wasn't Envious. Yep. Then there was a huge fight that broke out. Heal Station and a group of like people with him left Envious to go with Ethereum. Yep. As soon as that happened, Envious started winning and the contested areas in Throne and Liberty.
Yep. Then Envious got an alliance with other guilds and stuff and started absolutely wiping Ethereum off the map.
Oh my god. Wait a minute. Wait. Was one of those guilds that Envious part, was that Rive's guild, Genesis?
Yes. So I think for the Castle Siege.
No way. Oh my god. I knew, okay, because I don't, at least not right now, I don't participate in any of the drama stuff. So like I have my baby, I have my family, I go to work like a good boy, I come home, and I don't involve myself in any of the drama. So it's like, but I did see a couple of posts that I was like, because I was, I'm like completely out of the context with, so I'm reading certain things and I'm like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? And so I saw that Rive said that he partnered with Envious, and I was like, oh, okay. I wonder what happened. You know what I mean? I mean, people are partnering up. They're doing all these kinds of alliances and stuff like that. Just seeing, can our guild work with this other guild? Kind of trying to create that alliance kind of formations for Ashes. And I totally get that. But damn. Like, and Hill Station, like, I think he's been there for a while, right? Like, he was in Envious for a good bit.
It was.
Wasn't he there for like a couple of years, right?
I think last time I talked to him, I think he said around about 5 years. So,
damn. Well, damn. Okay, Kreirian bringing the drama tea. Oh my god, that's crazy.
I'm surprised it hasn't spread out or anything like that. It was huge.
I mean, dude, like I said, like because it's so hard to keep up with the AOC Discord because you have to read like 10,000 messages to see like what from the last day to one day because people just talking there constantly. And usually, like, I go in. I am pretty much in a lot of different Discords, but it's like, again, to read all of the stuff kind of going on. Like, I just, whatever, if it's guild, like personal guild drama, that's, it is what it is. But damn. And again, like, extrapolate that experience 10x when Ashes is live. Hell, when Alpha 2 is live, you know what I mean? Like, when we're testing this game, there's going to be guilds that are going to completely break apart.
There's going to be so much infighting and stuff that's going on, and
this is so good. This is so good. And the reason why I say that is because I've told people this for so long. I said the amount of drama that is going to happen with this game is going to be amazing. Because, like, I remember when I was watching the whole Among Us craze when that came out in like 2020 or like, what was it, 2019? And the drama that was created off of that little simple game was insane from content creators. Like, people just, I'm not your friend anymore. Like, you're dead to me. Like, all this stuff. Like, it was just a bunch of freaking drama that happened with that game. And I'm like, dude, the drama is going to be unparalleled in Ashes. And so I am very curious as to, like, you're going to see your guild's true strength when stuff gets tested. Like, when you see people that are bucking, or when you see people that aren't going with the flow of like what the officers in that guild are saying, or if you have like a certain thing that you want to do and the guild's like, hey, we're not going to do that right now, or hey, don't mess with that guild, like, I'm giving you a warning now, and the guy's like, fuck it, I'm going to mess with that guild, and then you get booted from the guild because you mess with that guild, and now that person is going to go into the guild that they were messing with just to get back at their own guild for booting them out. Like, I'm telling you, it's going to be freaking crazy. And I can't wait. Like, it's going to be so good, especially as a content creator. Like, I can't wait to cover all that crap.
It's one of my buddies from WoW is watching right now, and he's messaging me on Discord.
Oh, really?
Going back to like the cleric thing real quick.
Oh, yeah,
he's saying that one healer, and if summoner ain't good, he'll probably just drop interest for Ashes.
Yeah. I know, dude.
He plays the same class as I do, and he's better than I am.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, people that are healer mains that are experienced and stuff at it are looking at dropping it because of one class.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all we got.
Yeah. And again, I've said it from the mountaintops. I said, dude, I've always been worried about the 64 class system, because every single time I tell the 64 class system, they get excited, like, oh my God, 64 classes. And then I have to say, okay, it's with a huge asterisk. It's 8 with 8 different flavorings potentially, and I think it's just like, to see their hype rise when I say 64 class system, and then for it to be so deflated when I then say it's not a 64 class system truly, like, it's just that, then why have that system? That's why a lot of people always tell me, then why are they doing that system if it's not truly 64 classes? And I said,
it has to truly be impactful for the classes. And
And I
If
think,
if it's just flavor, if it changes VFX, or it's like, oh, okay, like fighter charge, you just teleport to the target. It changes so much.
oh yeah.
Like,
And I don't know, man. Like I want to be hyped for it. And again, I'm willing to be completely wrong. I've been wrong about plenty of things in Ashes as far as my opinions go. But and the only reason why I say I hope I'm wrong is because the people at Intrepid, when they're making their systems, they truly go out of their way for making some really in-depth systems. But with the augment system and then also with the ability system, the talent trees that we've been seeing, like, of course they're very placeholder, but also there are not anywhere between 30 to 40 abilities.
mhm.
And we haven't even seen the entire scope of a class yet, right? We've seen like a good half, right? We've seen 18 abilities from the cleric. We saw about 17 abilities from the fighter. So we've seen about almost half of their kit, but there's still almost a whole other version or a whole other side of that spectrum that we haven't seen at all.
Oh, so
So,
we've seen the frame
right,
of fighter.
right. And
You've seen the frame of the mage. You've seen the flame of the cleric.
right,
We don't even have the other 8 different changes that we're waiting for.
right. Yeah. And I think ultimately it's just going to be one of those things that, well, I just tell people like, hey, it could change. And again, like this is a company too where they went back to the drawing board completely almost with combat. They looked at the combat in Alpha 1, and again, Intrepid got lambasted. There was a lot of people that did not like the combat in Alpha 1. And it took them a whole year for them to show us what they did. And then a whole other year, or actually another 2 years really, to show us what they've made with the fighter. And
Mhm.
again, they've made some very good leaps and bounds with the melee combat. Honestly, I think the range combat is at a pretty damn good state right now. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it's always been pretty good. I
So we'll
still,
find out next week.
yeah, I mean, we will. I
Long
mean,
combos.
I saw Nice's video on how he thinks we're going to be in the Sand Squall Desert and a mage Valoon, doing the wand combos. And
With what Steven's been leaking, it's almost guaranteed that we're going to be seeing the desert
that's,
with the Valoon. It's the only thing that makes sense.
dude, I would not mind. I think anybody would not
We're out of the
mind.
Riverlands.
Yeah, to get out of the Riverlands for one freaking month and go somewhere else. And it's so funny because I remember oh my god, I think it was Plastic Lemons. He's an Envious. And I kind of trolled him a little bit on my Axiom because he's in Axiom Discord. And and he said, "Oh, we're going to be in the desert." And I said, "Lemons, you know there's a desert in the Riverlands, right?" And he's like, "No." And then he went, and I just said, "LOL, joking." And he said, "Dude, I literally pulled up the wiki to see if there was a desert in the Riverlands." Just because, like, dude, it's like I feel like the Riverlands has everything. I mean, it's gonna have
Right.
all the things. Like, we don't never have to go to the Riverlands because it has every biome inside. Um, but no,
Speaking of
or go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
speaking of sizes and stuff, though, I don't think that the server size is big enough for how big they're making the map.
Hmm.
I don't think 10,000 people is enough with how big that map is.
Oh, I 1000% agree with you. I said I would love 13 to 15,000 concurrent. I think, and
Per
even
server, yeah.
yeah, and I even think 15,000 may be too small
Mhm.
personally
There's that.
because it's huge. Like I'm telling you, like people are going to be completely blown away with how big this game is going to be land wise. And again, you think just 8 to 10,000? I think even in a full server, it's going to feel like where is everybody? Like
Exactly.
you're gonna be going through certain biomes and just never seen people because it's just so huge, you know. But well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let me see. Mr. Valentine asked a question real quick. He says, "Do you think that they will revamp the tank and cleric classes to be as polished as the ranger and fighter?"
Yes. Absolutely. With tank and cleric right now look like something that's still definitely an alpha, while ranger and fighter looks like something that they could actually ship. Now they're still working on them, but from tank and cleric showcases over to ranger and fighter showcases, they're completely light and day.
Oh yeah, and
Uh,
I would say too. I think honestly, the reason why we haven't seen the tank is because they probably have been revamping it ever since that tank showcase.
Mhm.
I think anybody in the Ashes community knows that the tank showcase was probably the worst received live stream, of a class that Intrep has ever done. And they had to literally re-record it. They had to literally start over with that stream and do like an emergency re-recording because the first presentation went very badly. But honestly, even with the re-recording, I still think the tank has a long way to go, right?
Mhm.
And so even with how they're probably still operating in a way where, yeah, it's probably going to be very much night and day compared to what we've seen in the past. And I really do hope, and again, I've always said, I think they need to take more liberties with the tank and cleric specifically. They need to be the most transformative classes out of any of the other base classes. They just need to be, because they have, if the Trinity is going to matter in Ashes, you need those two classes to be the most transformative. Because if not, just like as you said, every main tank or every main healer person will look at that as one option and they'll be like, no, thank you. Or you have to mean I have to level to 25 to then change the tank to what I want. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like it needs to have abilities that vibe with your style. It needs to have like, hey, if you want to be a sword and board tank, you can do that right at level 1 or level 2. If you want to be like a dodge tank, you can do that like at level 1 or level 2. Like, and again, like, I don't know how they're going to do that. They're going to probably need to put certain passives, like, in the ability trees for the tank, to be able to have completely different play styles, right?
Mhm.
And maybe you can only choose one, but there's different passives that allow you to completely change the way you tank based off of what passive you select.
So looking at the fighter and the ranger skill trees, Steven had all the abilities because they were showing them off and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like specifically in the fighter showcase, they were talking about how you only have a certain amount of points that you're going to get,
Right.
and you're not going to be able to get everything.
Right. Which is the right way to go. I hate trees where you can select everything. Like if you get 50 points, we have 50 nodes. Like what's the point of the tree then?
Yeah. So you're going to have like your variety is definitely going to be based off like what path you choose in your skill tree, like what abilities you get, what sub upgrades you get for them.
Right.
Um, but like you were saying, the fighter and the cleric need to have massive trees for variety of choices.
I'm so sorry. Someone was texting me.
Like,
No, yeah, I just think it. Again, I can go on and on and on about that particular subject. I mean, it's a dead horse that I know my chat does not want me to beat again, but I think it is important. It's been important because I really do want these two roles to thrive. I want the communities where these roles derive from. I want these people that come in and see the fact that there's only one option. But once they learn, oh shit, I can customize this thing really crazily. Like, even though it is one option, there's like 8 options within this one thing, like right out the gate. And then when at level 25, I can transform it even further. That's my hope of where we get to when the live launch happens, is the fact that it's like, wait a minute, like I can make a video as a content creator, or so can you, about like, yes, there's only one choice, but look how much customization you have. Look how big this tree is. Look how much you can do, and where you can go. And once you explain that, you're going to see all these tanks, these tank mains or these cleric mains, like, oh, damn, that's really cool. You know what I mean? So even though it is only selecting the one class, you're going to be able to make the class you want just out of the talent tree alone.
I don't think having that early on choice may be the way to go. I think 25 is too far for augments. I think 15 would probably be a better level. So you're not wasting that much time.
Actually, I've always said that too. Like I know people say level 10 or whatever. And I know I'm not trying for Ashes to be like, wow. But I also think in my mind, if Ashes is going to have a longer leveling process, 25 might actually be too long, right? It might, like, you're to me to tell me they're not going to be able to do anything meaningful until level 25, which is going to take me about 2.5 weeks, because I play on average of like 3 to 4 hours a day, because I work, I have kids, I have a family or whatever. Like, I think that's a pretty big ask, because you're not even going to know if those choices at level 25 are even going to be of your liking. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if you're even going to
Yep.
like it. So I think level 15 might end up being a better way. And that also might give the laterality of the augment system to be able to be more transformative, because now you're going from 15 to 50 instead of 25 to 50. You know what I'm saying? So you can have
Mhm.
technically a bigger augment system to play with. You know what I mean? But it's all conducive to like what the ability tree is going to be, what the weapon trees are going to be. Like I don't know. Like it's I'm still confused as to like how talent points are allocated. Like when you go from level 1 to level 2, do you earn 3 talent points? Like one for ability, one for weapon, and one for augment? You know what I mean? Like, or is it going to be kind of semi-scattered where, oh, from level 1 to level 2 you get an ability point, from 2 to 3 you get a weapon point, from 3 to 4 you get
Mhm.
another point, so I
So
don't know.
it's with how you're able to switch to any weapon for at any time for any class. I think the weapon ones themselves are going to have their own level bar. So like you
Hmm.
have to level up the weapons you want to use. So I think that one will be completely separate than your class level.
So so you
Think
think
like New
the
World, for example, right? So you
right,
use the rapier, you use the bow, you're using it, and by using it, you're leveling it up. But if you switch to the sword, it's going to be level 1 compared to
right.
your
So
level
you're going to
10,
have
whatever you have.
a specific leveling bar for each weapon.
Yes.
I'm down for that. Like
Mhm.
I'm pretty much down for that. I mean, I don't, especially if like you can actually earn, like, let's say 2 weapon points by you leveling 1 character point, right? By you going from like level 17 to 18, you can actually earn 2 points in that system. Do you think that there should be, like, honestly, I don't think the weapon tree should be that big, but this is just my opinion. I would rather have a smaller tree that's more impactful than this big ass tree that is very minor in scope. Because everything that I saw from the weapon tree was like, oh, you get 1% crit, 2% crit, 3% crit. Like it felt like all these points were just super ancillary. Like they didn't have any real weight to them. You know what I
Your
mean?
weapons are like a stat stick.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like there
Uh,
wasn't any of like meaningful choice. Like if I wanted to play a sword build and I wanted to do like an extra swing build or a bleed build or a, I don't know, like just whatever kind of build, right?
yeah.
Like I feel like it just, that tree didn't really showcase diversity in choosing that weapon, or like even weapon combos to that extent either. Like I think the weapon combos we saw like either were very much minor, but it's so hard to say, because it's like I feel like I don't know how deep they want these weapons to be. You know what I'm saying? There's 16 types of weapons in Ashes of Creation. I literally looked yesterday, at least on the wiki right now. There's
Mhm.
16 different types. That's insane. That'd be 16 completely different talent trees. That's
So
crazy.
looking at how they did the sword tree compared to what the ranger one was,
Right.
I like the change so far. Um, maybe they can tone it down a little bit, but I think we're gonna get a lot of answers for that in the wand showcase that we're seeing on Tuesday,
Oh yes.
because they're focusing on wand combos. So obviously they updated them, which means they're updated the tree. We're gonna see the new tree.
I hope, dude. From your lips to my ears, man. I don't like the weapon talent system, at least the way it currently is. And I
Mhm.
give Steven and the team over there, because everything is functional for them. Everything they're doing at an alpha level is for them to just put something on the game and have it to be functional, and then look at it and be like, is this what we want? Do we want to do like a down up approach of a talent system that's very menial, that's very ancillary? Do we want to have like these very slight passives, or do we want to have maybe a more like compact talent tree, but have each decision be more impactful? Because to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind if each weapon had 10 levels to it, and there was like, I don't know, like 20 nodes, but you
Mhm.
can only select 10 of them. And that way it's like it's a smaller tree, but each decision truly freaking matters. And when you look at that tree, you're like, damn, I want all of them. I want all 20 nodes, but I can only select 10. Like, that's the kind of vibe I want these talent trees to give out. Like, I really want that to matter.
When they were doing the fighter one and they showed the tree, like you have the 3 different branching paths
Right.
that all connect at the top for the Apex one.
Right.
You have to choose which path you go.
Okay.
So I think they already have that system kind of already implemented.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, and again, I think if they flesh it a little bit better, I just don't know if I even like the down up approach of a talent tree in Ashes. Like, I at least the way it was given, like, I don't know. It didn't excite me. I'll just say that. It didn't excite me. And maybe it's because I'm so Last Epoch brained right now, because I don't know if you played Last Epoch at all, but man, that ability system is so freaking good. Yeah, it's so good. It's so
I haven't even seen videos on it, to be honest.
Oh,
I
no.
haven't even looked at it.
Dude, if you just look at it from just looking at the ability web trees that they have, it's awesome. Like, it's so good. And I have been saying from the rooftops, I was like, dude, if Intrepid can just look at that system, and not saying it needs to jock it completely or even imitate it, but just the spirit of it. Because you look at that entire thing and every node of the abilities just transforms that ability in these really meaningful ways. And you want all of them. But, you know, it's like you only have 20 points to mess with, and there's like over like, damn, like some trees have like 35 to like 50 different choices. It just depends on per ability, but it's really good.
So it's probably copium talking, but maybe that's what our augment system's supposed to do. I wonder.
I know. I truly freaking wonder, because we haven't seen anything. And so my mind goes to, like, what is it, Arcade? Because Arcade has that circle system for their augment system, where it's like you have, you know, basically 4 decisions, you know, because you well, I don't know if it's 4 decisions, but I think you have like only certain selections from that circle that you choose from, depending on which 3 classes you pick. And so if we kind of extrapolate that to Ashes, right, since we only have 2 classes that we pick, well, we're going to have like the 4 schools of augmentation. So each circle is going to be 4 different ways to change that ability.
Oh, don't forget racial. Don't forget religious.
You think that's going to be incorporated into the augment system, like depending on which organization or which religion you select?
I think so, yeah. Because I mean, at least looking at the wiki and stuff, like you already see things talking about racial augments. You see things talking about religious augments. So doing like side activities and stuff can give you more choices.
I mean, I'm very excited for the religion aspect of Ashes, because I've never experienced that in MMO, and I'm just curious of how deep that religion system's truly going to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I kind of hope, there's so many people that talk about like the religious zealots, like picketing outside certain churches or something like that. Like, you know, dude, I hope like your character can actually hold signs in game. Like, that'd be so good if like you could actually hold up signs. Like, just the amount of RP that would create would be amazing. Yeah.
But the other side of that is also people that aren't doing a religion. Are they missing out, or do they have their own whole inside of the tree as well? Like, if you're not part of a religion, you have your own unique things.
Oh yeah.
Or
I hope so. I mean, and again, there's like, I think 9. Is there like 9 religions that are in Ashes?
I think so. And I know there's dark ones too.
Right.
So,
I mean, who knows? I mean, the end is near. Dude, exactly. I would love, dude, please, Intrepid, I know you guys are so passionate. Please give people the ability to hold up signs that say, like, you know, the end is near. Like, I want like Varus flat, you know? Like,
Varus flat
dude, the Flat Varan Society, dude, I want that. Please, like, give me all of the conspiracy theories, you know, in the game.
Illuminati.
Yes.
The Varan Illuminati.
Dude, I want people to say on their characters, like, dude, I don't think we're actually real. I think someone's actually in another world playing my character. Or like getting all meta with it, you know? That'd be so freaking awesome.
The Matrix.
Oh, dude. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we end the episode? It's weird. We're speaking for over an hour. It's crazy.
I didn't even realize, to be honest.
I know. Yeah, it usually happens that way.
What are your hopes for Tuesday?
Oh, my hopes.
Mhm.
I honestly,
Like,
when
what do you hope to see?
okay, so being realistic, when I saw Nice's video on it, everything he said, if that's true, I'd be happy with that, because
Mhm.
I think the Valoon, and I've told my chat this. I said, dude, I love the Valoon. I think the Valoon is really cool, and the fact that they can become Jin, and the Jin forms look really freaking awesome. If the Jin forms aren't toggleable, but only activate when it's nighttime. So when you go from day, you're one form, but then when nighttime occurs, you transform into the Jin form. That would be freaking fire. Like, I would
I
love that.
I think y'all's augments will change based off what form you're in.
Ooh. I mean, that would be pretty cool too. I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, like, I love the mage. I haven't seen anything from the Ashes mage that totally just does it for me. I mean, and I think everybody's been crying for the orb, especially myself, to be changed. So I think if they're going to
Yeah.
show off the wand combo, I think
They
they're
just
going to
drop the
I think they're going to show off the mage, and I think they're going to showcase some abilities again that are going to be very different in VFX wise.
Mhm.
So, and again, this is why I love this company, because they listen. They listen to their community, they listen to feedback, and they make changes accordingly. You know what I mean? Like, it's not saying they're always going to get it right, but the fact is that when we say something and we're like, hey, we don't like this, they're like, okay, well, do you like this instead? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
that's freaking awesome. How many other companies do that? Most companies are like, oh, you don't like that? Well, suck it up. It's going to be in the game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it is what it is, you know? So,
I think if we're coming in on Tuesday and we see that the mages VFX have changed and stuff, and like they update the orb like everyone's been complaining about, we are definitely seeing updated tanks and clerics.
really?
Yes. If like uh, this that's copium. I know it is. But yeah,
I mean,
if, if we see updated mage stuff, you are going to see updated tank and cleric stuff.
And do you think maybe we'll be in a party of some kind? So you'll see like maybe other party members that are playing tank or playing healer, and you're kind of seeing more of their updated animations, or potentially Trad, because I know Trad's a part of the combat team. I think maybe he'll mention some of the updates they've done to those classes.
Maybe. Since we're focusing on like wand combos and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it might be maybe we'll see like a little like what they did with the other streams where they'll kind of showcase it in like a one-on-one combat, and then hopefully we get to see some combat in the desert, like
Oh,
see
dude.
like a little area like they've done with the other showcases.
Right. I'm
Because the fire showcases, watching them actually do gameplay,
right.
great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that second half, like, I would have loved for it to have been more condensed, just to kind of really focus on the fighter. But of course, you know, I'm an Ashes fiend, so any more
Mhm.
content I get, I'm happy with. But I think it was really cool seeing like them quest to get that doll put together, and then you see all the classes kind of form. It was kind of frustrating for Steven to just be there, like completely like squirreling, be like, oh, what's that over there? And then everyone's all fighting, and he's just not fighting at all. Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
Steven, get on task, like kill the thing first, you know? Like, it was just funny, you know. Steven's just being Steven. But I will say, dude, I am looking forward to the whole weapon system. I really hope to see the weapon combos be a little bit more fleshed out. If they were to have the updated weapon trees, or like the like a higher progressed evolution of that tree from where we last saw it, I also be very, very happy with too. I
Mhm.
honestly, the one thing I really want for them to do is explain their philosophy. Like, I feel like the best way that I can leave feedback is if they explain their modes of thinking when creating this talent system. How are they trying to create this system? And what intent is this system being created for? Right? Like, are they trying to go very grand with it? Are they trying to be very narrow with it in scope? Like, I would just love for them to talk more of the philosophical portions of what they're creating
Mhm.
and why they're creating it in the way they're creating it. because then I can leave feedback better knowing what they're thinking, right? So, kind of is what it is. But Kreirian, dude, thank you so much, dude, for coming on, chatting Ashes and stuff like that. So where can people find you, dude?
So right now, I'm only streaming on Twitch. I am currently working on doing dual stream over to YouTube.
Okay.
That's a work in progress. But starting up Ashes, I will start doing guides and stuff based off what type of class I'm playing, because I hyper focus into a class and theory craft everything hell out of it. So you guys, if you want to follow me there, you'll see class updates for probably Ranger or Cleric, depending on which one I decide. But otherwise, you'll find me on Twitch.
Awesome. Well, if you guys want to stay for a little bit longer, if you're here on my Twitch chat or my YouTube chat, we're going to do a little bit of an after show, just talking to you guys. But again, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. It really helps out the video get out to more and more people. I am Vlhadus with Vlhadus Gaming. That is our board Kreirian, and we will see you guys on the next one. Later, guys. All right, guys. After show now. Sorry, I didn't want to say bye like we're actually leaving. We're staying. But now we're doing the after show. That was more for the YouTube stuff. But no, Kreirian, honestly, one of my friends, he was telling me the other day, he was actually really bummed that Ashes isn't going to have rating like WoW, because he was like, dude, he just got into rating maybe a couple of years ago, and he really loves it. And I said, dude, but I go, you got to understand, there's more things in an MMORPG than just rating. WoW got me so single-minded in that way, when it's if you look at how grand Ashes is system-wise, there is so much other better shit to do. You know what I mean? Better things, more funner things to do than just raid, killing a PvE boss for 3 hours. You know what I mean? There has to be better things to do. And, I was telling him, I was like, the one system I actually really, we didn't really get to talk about it, but is the naval system. As for someone who's never went out to sea before in an MMO, and I look at Arcage and what Arcage did, and I'm like, I never played Arcage. I never played it in its heyday or whatever, but I'm thinking, dude, that looks cool. And it's Arcage, very outdated, very old game. Imagine it in Ashes. And then when we got the whole caravan transforming into the raft, and then we were out in the little small river, going downstream, it just got me to thinking, dude, how much of this naval system is going to be similar to Sea of Thieves? How ambitious are they going to go with this naval system?
We know Steven wants the naval system at least to be somewhat similar to Sea of Thieves, as far as I know, because he doesn't want one person being able to just control the boat and drive it around and everything. He wants it to where somebody is working the sails, somebody's working the cannons and stuff. You have one person sitting on the till or the rudder or the wheel, or depending on the ship you have.
Right.
Everyone's going to have their station that they're working on a boat to have this thing just moving. So we may see something a little bit more advanced than what Sea of Thieves is, at least for just the ship moving around, because they want a lot of people on the boat rather than just 2, 3, and 4.
Well, I don't know. I've never played Sea of Thieves. I've seen a lot of gameplay on Sea of Thieves, but I don't know if I like the first person perspective approach. I've always liked the more third person view of stuff. And so if it's going to take more than one person to operate a ship in Ashes, and again, you're going to have what is it? Is it a Gillian? Am I saying that
Galleon.
right? Galleon. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's the biggest ship there is, right? It's a 40-person ship. It's going to be crazy. And I would really love to see, I can only imagine the montage or the kind of trailer that Ash is going to do, showcasing the naval system. And you're going to see this big old galleon, with its epic water. Because I love the UE5 water. Oh my God. Beautiful. And then you juxtapose that with its new lighting, the mist. And then not only do you see this 2 galleons going at it, but then as these 2 ships are trying to kill each other, you just see this Kraken like coming up behind. Like, dude, I got chills just even saying that out loud. Like, it's gonna be so freaking cool.
I
Like,
think
you
your
know what I mean?
copium's a little too high.
Oh, dude, it's not even high enough. Like, I'm telling you, world naval bosses exist, right? I mean, we saw that
Mhm.
big old fish, that scary looking fish that we saw, and of course, Steven's mentioned the Kraken before. So I feel like there's going to be, you know, not only the PvE or the PvP threat, but there's going to be that PvE threat that's also lurking in the water as well, which I find to be, I don't know, I really want to see what that gameplay is going to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I've never
Yeah,
experienced it before. It's going to be a whole new game. And, you know, there's literally people that play Final Fantasy 14 and play Mahjong. Like, it's like one of the
yeah, mini games that they have there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's actually a really good version of Mahjong. There's actually people who literally subscribe to Final Fantasy because it's literally one of the best online versions of Mahjong. Like, no joke. And so people, just like when they play WoW, there's literally people I know that only play WoW for pet battles. They don't do anything else. They literally just farm pets and pet battle. And as funny as that sounds to certain people, that's a realistic gameplay loop for people. But you can have people that just play Ash's Creation just for the naval system alone. Like, not even exaggerating.
Mhm.
And I think that's
I
a very
know.
fun aspect, or a very cool aspect of Ashes.
Have you talked to the Hidden Dagger Inn or Peon?
No, but I need
Okay.
to. I want him
So
to come on the 1v1.
He is all about the naval combat.
Awesome.
Like his whole thing is like he wants to be on the open seas 24/7.
Oh, dude, there's a lot of people who want to do that. There's a whole guilds that want to just be pirates. They just want to be out in naval doing shit. So
There it is.
yeah, you know, yeah. So I mean, it's going to be crazy. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people, and again, if they do the naval system correctly, and again, and when I mean correctly, it's just if they really put in a very good foundational naval system that can grow like later and later, right? I don't expect them to do Sea of Thieves and all the content Sea of Thieves has done at the very beginning of Ashes. What I want them to do for Ashes is create a really good foundational naval system that can be built upon and added as Ashes grows, right? That's all I want. Because a lot of times, especially in World of Warcraft, you know, we've had expansions come and go. Certain systems literally come and go. And the one thing that attracts me to Ashes is the fact that all of these systems aren't going to come and go. Like, these are all systems that are going to be intact forever. Like, every single system, it's not like Ashes is going to be like, yeah, you know, we're 2 expansions in for Ashes, and yeah, we haven't really done anything naval wise. That kind of portion, we're just not going to focus on it anymore. It's not anything we're worried about. It is what it is. Like, I feel like every system in Ashes is going to grow like together, right? It's going to be all one cohesive game. Unlike a WoW expansion where it has this brand new system that they want you to play, but then as soon as the new expansion comes out, you forget about that old system. It's all old at that point. You're never ever going to play it ever again. And now we have a new system that we created. Like, I hate that. I freaking hate that. Like, I don't understand why they don't make systems that are more like at a foundational level. You know what I'm saying?
Like why keep making new stuff when you can just add on to it?
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, kind of like similar to their talent system now, right? They revamped their entire talent system, and that's like a foundational thing. You know what I mean?
So I know. So like, what is it? Mista Pandaria. They changed it from the original one. Now
Right.
they're
The roads.
changing it again for this new one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even taken a look at the new talent tree. I'm just not interested in War Within.
Dude, honestly, like it's not, I haven't really, what's really sad, I was looking at some of the WoW creators and there is no hype right now for the War Within. Like all the big WoW creators have like 50,000 views, 70,000 views. Like no one's like watching the new expansion stuff. Like, it's like no one really cares.
Nobody cares about retail anymore. It's all about like Season of Discovery or Hardcore WoW when that one came out.
Yeah. Like, I feel like WoW's kind of like not played itself out, but it's like I feel like there's just a lot of people that aren't as interested as they used to, especially with retail. I think a lot of people, there's just a nostalgic feel for WoW players that classic still hits for them, and they just feel like retail is just off on another reservation. So it's like where people are just not going to pay attention to that or whatever.
But I think what they should have done is, instead of doing War Within, just keep adding on to it. Since they have brand new characters, brand new villains, and everything like that, just make a WoW 2. Start it at the beginning again. You have this whole brand new storyline that you created, and you're changing all of the old systems that have been there forever. Now's the best time just to go ahead and just say screw it and just update the game.
I think there's so many people that have been asking for a WoW 2. I just don't have. If they were to do a WoW 2, I think if it's still being made by the same people, it's going to be more of the same, just with the newer look to it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the reason why WoW hasn't grown is because the current team refuses to change their ways, right? They're dead set on how they want to make WoW. They're making it that way. And
I'm not even saying like change the art style or anything.
No,
like you can keep it all the same. Just
no, right? Yeah, you can still have the same aesthetic, but what I'm talking about is the systems. What I'm talking about is like the way you play World of Warcraft. If they were to make a WoW 2, they're still going to put in systems that are going to be very similar to WoW 1. So what's the point? It's like they made Overwatch 2, which how did that turn out? You know what I mean? They kept the same graphical style and said, oh, we're going to put in PvE missions. We're going to do a whole campaign. And everything they said they were going to do for Overwatch 2, none of it came to fruition. They literally recreated Overwatch 1 in a worse way and then said, well, deal with it because Overwatch 1 is gone. Like, and if they were to do it to WoW, could you imagine if they made WoW 2 and said, hey, the old WoW is no longer playable?
And so that would be the mistake.
Yeah. And I know they would never do that. I don't think they'd be that idiotic, but can you only imagine? It's just, you know, and again, I think even with the War Within, you have like Chris Metzen that came back and, you know, people were excited to see him and excited that he's back on the team. But WoW to me doesn't have balls anymore. It's literally been castrated and there's just no testosterone in that game. Like everything is all frills and all peace, and you know the war in Warcraft is gone. It's the world of craft. Like that's it. It's the world of craft. Like there's no war. Like no one is like Anduin is emo now. Like every person is like going through this like mental crisis. Like I don't know. Like back when I played Warcraft 3 and going into World of Warcraft, like all these
horde.
Yes, like there was a lot of testosterone in these games, man. Like I just feel like it's a bunch of soy. I don't know, man. Like it doesn't. And I would love to know. The only thing I would ever want to know about the lore when it comes to Ashes is, does it have balls? Does the lore have like, are people gonna die? Are people going to be like backstabbing? Are people going to like be in each other's faces and punch someone? Like, is that the kind of like vibe we're gonna get from the lore of Ashes? Or is it gonna be very frilly political and big bad mustache twirling villain that doesn't really do much but lurks in the shadows? And you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
They Battle for Azeroth. Did you play that one?
Battle for Azeroth?
Yeah.
Yes, I played every single expansion up until Dragonflight.
Okay, so I didn't play Shadowlands, so the whole Sylvanas.
Good on you. Good on you. Good on you, dude.
They could have done Battle for Azeroth so much better because they finally like Vlhadus. Sylvanas freaking went and burned down Feldrassil. Like it was actually Alliance versus Horde again because of Sylvanas,
dude.
And then they went and span it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. They literally had like, I remember being so excited because I was like, dude, Sylvanas has always been like a really great character, and I've loved him because I'm a Horde player at heart. Like I've been playing Horde the entire time. So for me, Like I remember when Garrosh called Sylvanas a bitch, and during Cataclysm, there was a whole little like quest line that if you it was like a little cinematic that happened, and they took that out of the game now, so you can't even see that. But I mean, when I saw the Battle for Azeroth like cinematic trailer, I was like, finally, like we're getting back to the war in Warcraft, like you know what I mean? And then dude, what's even crazier is there was a book from Battle for Azeroth that I heard, because I think Bellular during that time, if you signed up for Audible, you get a free Warcraft book, and it was Before the Storm. It was the book leading up to Battle for Azeroth. That book was really freaking good, dude. Honestly, for me as a non-lore person, hearing that book, it was a 13-hour book that I listened to. It was freaking good. And all of this, and there was some dark shit in that book, especially regarding Lady Sylvanas and the undead. Like it was really, really, really good. And they didn't do anything in the freaking game like that was even anywhere close to the book. And I'm like, what is this shit? Like, what are we doing? Like, I always get so frustrated talking about WoW, because I feel like even if some writer teased them up, like this layup that could be so easy for them to execute, they still somehow to manage to fuck it up, you know? And so with Steven being as big of a lore guy, I mean, he seems very into like, the Ashes lore, like he knows the kind of story. All I hope is that the lore, at least for someone who really doesn't care about lore, is ballsy, something that actually has like consequences, and there's people that are, like in your face and, passionate about their cause. You know what I'm trying to say? Like we haven't even seen like who the Sylvanas is in Ashes, or who the Thrall is, or who the, King Anduin or King Varian Rin. We haven't seen these characters in Ashes yet. But all I hope is that whoever these characters are, that they have balls to a certain extent,
Are we even going to see those type of characters in the first place?
Ooh, like what do you mean?
Like, so the lore is like we're coming out of the gates, right?
Right.
It's like we're finally coming back.
Right.
So, and we're building up Vera again.
Right.
So the history and stuff that we find is like the Tower of Carfen and stuff, right? We'll see the mages and stuff that were there, like why Tower of Carfen is the way that it is, like why the corruption spread and stuff. But I don't think we'll see like those big characters like Sylvanas, Thrall, or anything like that.
You really?
I don't think that's the focus of the game at all. Like there's all the lore and stuff behind it, and like you'll see like these big names of these people from before, but I don't think you're actually going to see them.
That's an interesting point. I mean, do you think that there's going to be generals or maybe some kings and queens that come, into Vera? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh well, my kingdom is usually in the Riverlands, so like we're going to go to the Riverlands, and all of my subjects are going to try to create, all the stuff there. Like, you don't think there's going to be some prominent characters that are going to come back?
Isn't that what we're doing?
Well, yeah.
We're building up the towns and stuff. We're going to be the mayors running everything. There's not going to be a king or queen.
But there's castles.
Yeah, which we run after we take over.
You're making so many good points. Well, I don't know. Like, and that's because like, if you think about it from classic WoW's perspective of lore, like it was sort of like archaeology. Like there were certain storylines and certain things that you kind of had to like do on your own, right? There wasn't this very cinematic scope like Final Fantasy 14 or even what WoW does now with its storytelling. Like classic WoW had a very much you either listen to the story or you don't. Like you can just do the quest, do what's required of you, and not listen to what we have to say, or you can listen to what we have to say. And there's like this entire, like all these different storylines that kind of branch out into other things. So do you think it's going to be more of like a, like understanding, how should I phrase it? Like, do you think it's gonna be more of like piecemealing like certain old lore, but then also current lore of like maybe certain people that are, infighting or maybe families. Like, I don't know if like Ashes is gonna have like families similar to like Game of Thrones, right?
Mhm.
Like the Tyrells, and then you have like the Starks, and you have King's Landing with like I don't know. Like, we'll have to wait and see. I never really cared about lore with Ashes because I don't think it's that high of a priority right now, because before you can have a great story, you need a great game first, because people
Mhm.
aren't going to pay attention to the great story if the game is not there. So that's kind of like my approach.
Ash, I think a lot of the quote storylines and stuff are going to be like what I said with Carf and stuff, is figuring out what happened and why it happened, and how do
Hmm.
we stop that from happening again.
Hmm.
And the storyline is based off the majority of choices that players make going through. Because, like, how they said during I forget which showcase it was, but they said that like you'll get certain options with certain NPCs going through like these major node storylines,
Right.
and the node and stuff will change based off of your decisions.
Hmm.
So we are creating a story based off our character decisions in this new world.
Okay.
So we may have like the Riverlands, the specific node or whatever has this certain NPC that's like, oh, well known or something like that, but that'll be
Right.
like the extent of it.
Hmm. I guess like I just I've always hoped that it was going to be something more like there was going to be like prominent characters, like, so to
Mhm.
speak. But at the end of the day, like, whatever it is, as long as there's a good game there, I won't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll listen to the story if it's good. If it's bad, then I'll just still play the good game, right? That's the brilliant thing about it. If the game itself is fun, I don't care if there's a crap story there, because there's also a great game there too. You know what I mean? It's when there's
I think
a or go ahead, I'm sorry.
the sorry, you're good. The most prominent figures you're gonna find are like bandit leaders or like certain faction leaders, mercenary leaders, or like religious leaders, like that type of thing that are NPCs.
What about racial leaders? Do you think like there's gonna be like maybe a prominent Valoon person or a prominent Renkai person, a Vec person? Like,
I mean, maybe, but not like WoW has like their
they're
each race
chieftains
has like
and
their people. Yeah.
right.
So, like with the Night Elves, you have Malfurion and Tyrande, or Undead with Sylvanas, Orcs with Thrall, Garrosh, etc.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be like huge, big, prominent features like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, ultimately, like, we'll just have to wait and see. But dude, I really appreciate you coming on, Kurian, and just chatting, and I had a great time talking with you, man. Seriously.
Uh, Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, dude. It's been a lot of fun, especially for a Friday, because today was such a hard day at work. It was nice just to like chill out and get home and honestly talk some Ashes. It was really, really good. Guys, I'm gonna be Kieran, can you send me the link to your Twitch?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put it in my chat. If you guys want to follow Kieran on his Twitch channel, go do that. He's gonna send me the link and I will share it with you guys. And then after that, we will dip out. Is there anybody else streaming in the Ashes category right now?
Uh, right. Golden Feather streaming right now. Looks like.
Oh, Golden Feather? Perfect.
Yeah.
I will raid the Golden Feather. They raid me all the time. I finally get to
Mhm.
raid them. Finally. All right. Let me see. Here we are.
I was about to say Rive, but he's doing PAX Day right now. So
All right, guys. That's his Twitch. Go over to his Twitch. Go follow him. He usually goes live. I don't know. Do you go live at a certain time, or you just go live
um,
randomly, or?
I usually go Rive randomly, but since school's finally over with, I'm starting to look at making a schedule. So
Okay.
I'll have that posted.
Yeah, go
So
follow
on
him.
Twitch at some point.
So that way when he goes live randomly, you'll know. You'll know. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you guys later. I don't know if I will stream this weekend. If I do, it'll be randomly. So like I said, just follow if you're not following my channel, and we will see you guys on the next one. Later, guys.
Yeah, have a good night.